Emotions do exist. Emotions, that's, you might say, the gasoline in the engine. All right? That's what emotions are. You have to have emotions. But gasoline separated from the engine gets you what? Nothing. As long as the gas is in the tank or in that pump over there at the filling station and is not connected with your engine in any way, you'll just have a gas pump that's full of gas. It'll be excellent gas, and it serves a purpose. Gasoline serves a purpose, serves a lot of purposes. I mean, it's very useful, and it's sitting over there in that pump. But you have to put the gas in the tank, and from the tank, the gasoline goes into the engine, and now you got what? You got some action going. But if that gas pump is in that filling station, and your car is parked right next to that gas pump, and there's no connection between your car, engine, and the gas pump, I'm talking about logic now. It'll sit there, both the gas pump and the car and the engine will sit there forever until finally the gas will just evaporate and go somewhere else where somebody wants to use gas, because that's the nature of the universe. You know, there's an old saying, you don't use it, you'll lose it. That's whatever it is. That's why you got to keep your body moving. Because if your body just sits still all the time, pretty soon it'll get to the place where it can't move. Because that's the kind of signals your body is getting. Your body receives signals. So when you send your body that kind of signal, don't move, and you just sit there in one spot, you'll get to the place where when you send a signal to your body, your mind sends a signal, say, okay, ready to get up now. You ain't going to be able to get up. Now, they have found that out. From what? From experience. Okay? We learn from things. Okay? That's what logic is. See, emotions have to be attached to logic. Like gasoline has to have a connection with that engine. And then you have to have sparks and fire and all like that. Things have to come together. Like I said earlier in this program, when we talk about that word separation. I mean, you know, everything is interconnected. Everything that is ever created was created for a reason by the Creator. Now, we don't know the reasons. I've often asked. In fact, as a 10-year-old, I was asking, why is everything here? You know, why did they say that God made everything? Why did God make anything? Well, only God knows. I came to that conclusion, and only God is qualified to say. But we can say, well, evidently God wants us to do something while we are here, whatever we call God. Some of us don't believe in God, but we believe in something because we know that we didn't make ourselves. We know that we didn't, you know, and if we made ourselves, we don't remember it. So that tells us something right there. How come you don't remember it if you made yourself? If you made yourself, how come? That's logic, all right? Not based on emotion, just based on pure logic, cause and effect. If you didn't make yourself, or if you did make yourself, don't you remember when you made yourself and what you made yourself out of? And when you decided to make yourself? I don't remember the day that I was born. I don't remember anything about it. They tell me it was a Monday and it was raining, stormy Monday. That kind of figures for me. I mean, because that's what it's been ever since. Okay? But that's another story. But, you know, I'm talking about logic here. I'm talking about emotions being attached to logic. You have to attach your emotions to logic. Now, the white supremacists say, and they did this on the plantation, and they still do it now, right in an office building or wherever you happen to be. Negro, don't do any thinking. I'm a white person. Let me do the thinking. You do the acting. In other words, you are the engine. All right? But I am the spark plugs, the gasoline, and everything. So you don't move. You don't do anything. You've got excellent qualities. All the parts are there and all like that. But you sit there until I give you a spark. Boy, girl, all right? You sit there until I give you. I'm going to separate you from logic. I have the logic. And I also have the emotions. But my emotions are attached to logic all the time. But I'm going to detach you, black people, from your logic is not going to be with your emotions. You can have all the emotions you want, but you are not going to be allowed to be logical. If I catch any of you people on this plantation trying to do some thinking and looking over my shoulder trying to read my books and all like that, I'm going to teach you people to hate books. All right? That's why it's a saying that's kind of popular among black people. And what is it? We know what it is. You want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book. They break in your house. I saw an advertisement in a catalog the other day. It was a dictionary. It was something that looked like a dictionary, but actually it was a box. And they say, put your valuables in that, and then put that on the shelf. A dictionary? Something that looks like a dictionary, but it's actually a box, but it looks like a dictionary, which is a book. Put your valuables in that. And when that black person breaks in your house, I guess that's what they're saying. I would kind of think in the system of racism, that's what they're saying. They'll look all over that place. They'll tear the place apart. One thing they ain't going to touch is that dictionary over there. That's the key to knowledge, all right? The key to how to do things other than breaking a house, all right? They ain't going to touch that. Why? Are they that way by nature? No. We train them that way. We train them that way. And when we let them have a book, we fill it with so much nonsense that they ain't that dumb. After a while, they get tired of reading something that's pure nonsense. And so they learn to hate picking up anything that looks like a book because the books don't seem to pay them anything. And that's why black people have been trained to hate school, because we really don't put anything in our books that will really help them to solve their, what? Problems. But let me get back to the question. Emotions must be attached to logic. Both of them serve a purpose, but they have to walk in harmony together. Logic plus emotions. This is how you solve problems. All of the problems that you'll ever have. We have been trained not to let those two things ever get together.
I don't want everything to become built around Neely Fuller. That thing about that personality cult, you become your own personality. That's what the book is supposed to do. Make each and every black person his or her own leader. You're no longer looking for a leader. You've had leaders. You've got leaders now who've come and gone in the history books. We don't need to keep piling on leaders. I mean, and everybody sitting back on a log, because we've been trained that way to wait on the maximum leader, the final leader. We have been led, and we have been led to a thing called logic. That's what all the information that comes to us is about. So what is logic for? It's to make each and every person his or her own leader. That's correct logic. I mean, when you teach a baby, the baby just doesn't come back to the nest, keep looking for guidance. And among animals, they kind of send out that signal. At a certain point, you are your own leader. That's what a cat will tell kittens. At a certain point, I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know. Now, that's the main thing. Get everything that you need to know, because if you don't have everything you need to know, then you're going to have to keep coming back. It's just like what do they call rerun? I mean, that character in one of
Yeah.
You're right. In other words, you keep coming back to the college. You never go out. There's some people who become, I understand, I heard this term back in the 1940s, professional students. Well, we're all students because you're always supposed to be learning, but you're supposed to be able to learn something and hold on to it and be able to stand on your own 2 feet. Birds do that. Bees do that. The birds don't keep coming back to the same nest that they were raised in, saying, where's mama?
Yeah,
where's papa?
Yeah, that's
but
true.
black people are trained to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Which way did the white folks go? I mean, because I don't know nothing. I'm helpless. I mean, why can't they stop this killing here? We don't know how to stop killing each other. Why don't some white folks come here? And when the white folks come here, why is it that they kill so many of us? And the white supremacists say, well, I don't kill as many of you on a daily basis as you kill each other. How about that?
Wow.
But we say, yeah, but you kill some of us and you're supposed to know better. All right, well, what is it that we're supposed to know? When we can't spend 10 minutes alone without going at each other's throats.
Correct.
And there's a reason for that. And we've been taught to do that. That's why we got to break training. Black culture, as it is now, is absolutely worthless. First of all, I would never make that statement, not ever, okay? The code says stay away from making statements, particularly if you're criticizing something that black people are doing or something that you disapprove of. You may disapprove of it, but stay away from making statements. Ask questions. And so the question would be, I'll give an example, according to the code. I wouldn't go on the air or any other place or report it to a newspaper that rap and hip-hop are bad for black people. I would ask a question. Everything is within the frame. I'd like to say this, first of all. Everything in counter-racist codification falls into one of 2 categories: constructive, non-constructive. So you just simply ask a simple question. Is rap and hip-hop, generally speaking, whatever that means, first of all, you want to describe what rap and hip-hop is. Get that straight first. What is rap? What is hip-hop? What's the difference between rap and hip-hop and other forms of what you might call communication or music genre or whatever it is you want to call it? And is it musical? First of all, is it music? Is it poetry? And let the person who is doing it explain what it is, all right? First of all, get that nailed down. What is rap? What is hip-hop? What's the difference between rap and hip-hop? Are they the same thing? Get all that threshed out first so that we'll all be on the same page. Then you say, now, are there different forms of it? All right? And what forms? What are all the different forms of it? What forms do they take? All right, and break all that down. See, these are questions, because all problems are solved through the process of what? Questions and answers. Then you move on to the 3rd step, which is, okay, let's take it individually now. Let's use an example. So you play a hip-hop song or a rap song, if there is a difference between the 2. Okay? Play one and then play the other, and then say what the differences are. You get that far. Then you move on to the next step. Then you say, okay, is this one of the shining examples, one of the best examples of rap? All right? And so you play it, the entire thing, okay, whatever it is. And then you ask the bottom line question. Does this have a constructive effect on the thought, the speech, and the action of black people? Is this constructive? Or is it non-constructive? Now, you don't stop there. If you say it's non-constructive, then you have to examine it and see how is it non-constructive. All right? By what? By the effects that it has. When a person listens to it or looks at it or whatnot or plays it, what are they inspired to do? Because
all sounds inspire you to do something. I don't care what sound it is.
Yes.
Sound of a waterfall. It inspires you to do something. The sound of water running in the kitchen will inspire you to do something. You might get up and want to say, did I leave that water on in the sink?
Or go to the restroom.
Yeah, right. There you go. See, you're going to be motivated to do something. So you just examine what black people are motivated to do, you know, in all areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war, when they hear certain sounds. Because rap and hip-hop are just sounds. That's all they are. They're sounds.
Okay.
So when you hear these sounds, whether it's rap, hip-hop, or a bird that's chirping outside your window, what does that make you do?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Bottom line.
What do you want to do as a result of hearing that?
Okay.
All right? Because you're going to want to do something. It might be just, hey, I'm going to turn this off. Or it might go the other way. I'm going to turn this up.
Yeah.
And that's the first reaction you'll have.
Yeah.
Then it comes down to the second and the third and the fourth reaction.
Yeah, whatever.
As a result of what you were listening to. Well, if I understand that question, no, you be the master of words. You don't let any word master you. A word is just a word. Words don't even mean anything until they have a definition. That's what gives the N-word so much power. It doesn't have a definition. And if you don't believe it, you just ask the person, like I said earlier in this program. Ask the person who calls you that, what is one? Now, it's supposed to be a derogatory term, but here's where the key is to the power of that word. No dictionary tells you why it's derogatory. That's where the secret of that magic comes from. Any word that doesn't have a concise definition is extremely powerful.
Wow.
Why? Because if you use a word and nobody really can pinpoint exactly what it means and what it doesn't mean, all right? It's not just what it means, it's what it doesn't mean.
Doesn't mean, yeah.
Right. See, words have definitions, but you can use any word. You can make up a word right now and not give it a definition and go around applying it to different situations or different things or different people, and you can cause all kinds of havoc. All right?
Yeah.
With a word that does not have a definition. Why? Because you have control of the word. You have absolute control over a word that you invented and did not give a definition to. And you can go around and apply that word to things, you can apply it to people, you can apply it to animals, and you can cause all kinds of chaos. Because why? The people who take the word seriously, without knowing what the word is supposed to mean, exactly, and here again, without knowing what the word doesn't mean, all right? See, people don't even think about that. What is it, all the things that the word, the N-word, do not mean?
Yes.
Can you make a list of the things that this word does not apply to?
Yeah.
All right? No, the word has no boundaries. Why? Because it has no definition. And any word that doesn't have a definition has power. All right? I can call you something and laugh. And if you don't know what I'm calling you, I can drive you crazy. And I get other people to laugh when I use the word, but I apply it to you. I just apply it to nobody but you. This word fits you, but I don't give it a definition. I never tell you what it means or what it doesn't mean. But anytime I use it, you start feeling bad. And I start using it and get other people to use it, and they use it toward you. And you start feeling worse. Next thing you know, you're crazy. You've been driven absolutely insane. And I have complete control. But the formula is you simply ask questions. Because what does the code say? All problems are solved through the process of questions and answers. So if the N-word is a problem, and with a lot of people,
that word is a problem, it's no problem with me. I got complete control of that word. All right? It's no problem with me at all. You can call me that all day long in any setting, and it has absolutely no effect. Because of what? Because I understand what the white supremacists are doing with it. Only thing between me and somebody else is that I have that understanding that the word has a meaning, and the meaning is supposed to be derogatory when it's used toward me, but they don't say why.
Okay.
All right?
So
that's the key. If you understand that, the word loses its power immediately. I mean, like you've been worried about the word forever, you can drop it right this minute, simply by that formula.
By that formula.
I mean, it's gone. It's gone forever. Nobody can ever touch you with that word. I don't care what they do. I don't care how many white people sit around all day long and write it on the walls. You can look at it and it won't mean anything. Why? Because you chose to think that it doesn't mean anything. That's just a choice.
That's just a choice. So when those guys...
That's a choice by you. You make that choice. They know that.
Okay.
You know, you're the one running around in circles crying. I came to my desk today, and they had a big N word scrawled on my desk. Well, there's a long list of suggestions that a non-white person can make to a white person about what a white person can do that's in the code book. But since I'm not looking at it directly right now, two of the things that are right at the top of that list. First of all, never, ever say anything to a non-white person that is not true. Because a lot of white people are always asking, they're making statements rather, they're saying, black people are always marching and complaining and whining about this and whining, and they never give you any details about doing anything. They just say that we don't like the way things are. And they break windows and turn cars over and foam at the mouth and shout slogans and whatnot, but they never go into any details about what it is that they want us to do. They call us all these names, racists, white supremacists, bigots, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they're not businesslike. They just believe in running up and down the street throwing things and yelling and insults and calling us names. And we white people who want to help don't know what to do because they're too busy calling us names and not going into any details, not acting like they're going to sit down and do business in a sane, methodical manner to solve their problems. They just say, we don't like it the way it is, and we are racist, and blah, 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 blah. So the code approaches this, the counter-racist code, the suggestions that I make, because many times they're telling the truth about that. Back in the 1960s, some white people were asking that same question, just in that way. What do you want us to do? Name something. And they just say, well, they just say, well, what do you want? See, they use that word want. And I remember in one instance, the answer was from a group of black people was, well, what do we want? What do you got? Okay, and everybody laughed. See, but it's no laughing matter. I mean, when it comes right down to when the rubber meets the road. So the first order of business, I thought about that. That's why I started putting it in the book. Oh, when they ask you a specific question, what do you want? And you want to get into specifics, say, well, now, first thing we want is don't ever say anything to a non-white person that's not true. Now, a lot of people will say, well, we want housing, we want better jobs, we want et cetera, et cetera. We can get to that later. That's on the list, too. But top of the list is don't say anything to a non-white person that's not true. Why? Why is that in the textbook for victims of white supremacy, right at the top of the list of what you say to white people when they ask, what do you people want? Why is that at the top of the list? Because white supremacy thrives on falsehood. This is the first thing they do when they get ready to mess over people, is start saying things that are not true. and get people to believe it in all areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. The white supremacists make sure that they have a whole arsenal, a whole warehouse of things that they say that are not true. Because when you fool people, you got them. When you got people completely dizzy, walking around, with a head full of non-truths. Everything you have said to them, or most of the things you have said, have turned out not to be true at all. That person is just groggy right from the lies that they're getting, all right, the non-truths. So the first order of business, don't say anything. If you want to really help, don't say anything ever to a non-white person. If you're a white person, don't say anything ever to a non-white person that is not true. Make sure that what you are saying is absolute truth. Don't say anything ever that's not true. And number two, because I named two things. That's the first one. Number two, right at the top of the list. And these two things will go a long ways. Don't say anything that's not true. And number two is, don't withhold constructive information. The minute, on a job or anywhere else, the minute you get that constructive information, pass it on to a needy, a non-white person who is in need. That information, and they don't have that information, it's constructive information. Don't withhold constructive information. Don't keep it to yourself. Or pass it on to other white people and skip over the non-white people. Don't do that. In fact, make it a priority to give it to the person who needs it most. And in many cases, I'll say, probably in most cases, it'll be a non-white person that needs that constructive information. Constructive information goes a long ways. Information is power. Constructive information is power all over the world. All right? So don't withhold constructive information. The white supremacists are skillful at doing that. They'll give you a whole bunch of information, but it'll be non-constructive. They'll rush to give a non-white person a whole bunch of ideas, a whole bunch of information to send them down a path that's headed for destruction. So we want constructive information, all of that constructive information, any constructive information that you have, anything that you think will wind up really helping this non-white person, give it to them immediately. Make a beeline to them deliberately and do it. Those two things will go a long ways. You can't be in a poisonous system, and the government of the world is the system of white supremacy. That's the only real government of the entire planet called Earth. And it's a system that's designed to mistreat people through deception and through direct violence. Now, deception, which causes confusion, is indirect violence. Anytime somebody's trying to fool you in order to harm you, it's not like playing little child games or something like that, but they are fooling you with the intention of doing harm to you, where you're going to lose something, including maybe your entire existence. Then that is a form of violence. A person fools you. Give an example. A person knows that bridge that you're fixing to cross is weak, too weak for your vehicle, because the person has made the bridge weak. They went out in the middle of the night and did things to the bridge to make it weak, so that the bridge will not stand the weight of your vehicle.
Yes.
So you come along early in the morning, happy, cheerful, going on vacation, and you're going to cross that bridge. And the person who made the bridge weak in the middle of the night comes out, gasses up your car, whatnot, and looks at you with a smile, knowing full well what is going to happen when you cross that bridge. Now, the white supremacists, that's deception.
Yes.
All right? He tells you that, hey, the bridge is open, and it's a brand new bridge, and you'll enjoy your trip, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, knowing full well the weight of your vehicle is not going to get you across that bridge, and that you and your vehicle and your entire family and whatnot, what you call your family, is going to fall into the water.
Yes, sir.
Now, the racists know that. They're good at that type of thing. They do it all over the world all the time. Set you up for failure in all areas of activity. So that's just one. Okay? So you go waving, smiling, driving across the bridge. And the white supremacist and his white supremacist associates, they look at each other and wink and say, watch this. And the bridge falls and you perish. And that's what they call fun.
Yes.
That's the white supremacist mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they will help set you up. I mean, you know, on the surface, it looks like they're doing you great favors.
Yeah.
They're great at that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And that's in every area of activity.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, in economics, they do the same thing. In economics, set you up. And you think that you're going to be sailing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You're going on, you know, hey, this is going to... Oh, but see, you don't see what's coming around the corner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
In education, same thing. We are educating you people. Come into our schools, and we're going to teach you this and teach you that. All right? You got to be able to you should go, because you don't have any options anyway. All right? Because they are going to teach you a lot of things that are very useful. But along with that, they're going to do what? That's where the poison comes in.
That's where the poison comes
See,
in.
when they're teaching you something,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to put a little bit of poison in it. In economics, when they're giving you something, a stack of money, somewhere in that, they got some cyanide or something between the stacks.
Yes.
All right? It's poison in everything that they approach you with. Economics, education, entertainment. Oh, you want to be a black entertainer. Oh, okay. They come on in. They dress you up, and they just say, how much money do you want? You know, you're going to make this movie, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. See, but at the same time, they're going to put just a little bit. They don't have to put much, because poison has a way of doing what? Spreading.
Spreading.
All right? So in everything that they got all glitzy and very attractive and all painted up and all suited up and extravaganzas all over the place and whatnot, they put just a little bit of poison in there, and you don't even notice it, but that poison begins to spread. And the next thing you know, what you started out to be a festive occasion
Mm-hmm.
is going to turn out to be a total disaster.
Total disaster.
Somewhere down the road. And
Now-
that's in every area of activity.
Right.
You've got to understand the system of white supremacy, what it is, and how,
it works.
See, direct violence is when they just walk up and shoot you in the head.
Okay, boom, yeah. Okay.
That's a done deal.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't care for a call for a whole lot of explanation. You don't scratch your head about
Right.
that trying to figure out what that's about.
Okay.
You're dead. That's what that's about.
Gone.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, the other is, and that's the one that they really like, because they can stretch it out and whatnot and enjoy it more. You know, when they kill you, you're just dead. They're just dealing with a dead body now. You know, that's over right now. But when they can confuse you over decades, just keep confusing you, having you doing stupid stuff and you don't know how stupid it is, okay? And they're just laughing all the way at your stupidity, at our stupidity,
Yes, sir.
at my stupidity, at all black people's stupidity, because we're supposed to be stupid forever, okay? And how do you keep people stupid forever? Having them doing stupid things and think that they're doing something great.
Hmm.
And they do that through confusion.
Mm-hmm.
by telling you that it's great. Anything stupid that a black person does, the white supremacists will walk up and say, keep it up, all right? I mean, and stupidity to your detriment. You're actually harming nobody but yourself and other black people, all right? Mass stupidity. So they'll help you do that in all areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anything that they see a black person has a talent for doing or has a proclivity, a desire to do.
Yes, sir.
They'll look at it and they'll help you do it as long as they can figure out a way to make it non-constructive. All right? That's the thing to watch for. It's what you're doing. Is it constructive or is it non-constructive? And you should ask yourself, if it's constructive, how is it constructive? What does it actually produce that has a constructive effect? Stay in that question mode and ask yourself these questions as you go along doing whatever it is you're doing. Is this constructive? And if it is constructive, how is it constructive?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right? You should ask yourself that question all day long, every day, regardless of what you're doing. Ask yourself, this thing that I'm doing, is it constructive? Or is it non-constructive? Because there's no such thing as in between. Every move that every creature makes, birds, bees, people, alligators, is going to have a constructive effect or a non-constructive effect on something or somebody. But what does change is when the white supremacists are affected. And that's when you sit up and take notice. See, we watch each other like hawks. Black people, even walking down the street, you don't pay any attention to white people at all. It's like they're not even there. We just kind of glance at them, make sure we don't bump into them or something like that. But generally, they're invisible. They're invisible to us. We're not invisible to them. But generally speaking, it kind of looks like they are. But they have already paid enough attention to us to have us under their thumb. So on a minute-by-minute basis, they don't look up and check out black people at all, white people. When they get on the subways and whatnot, they, on a plane, they open a book or look at the iPads or something like that. There ain't no point in talking to you. They ain't going to learn nothing that they don't already know that's worth knowing. They already know that. See? You're not a good conversationalist, none of us, even when we think we're smart. Whatever we know, they know where we got it, okay? That's worth knowing. And they also know one thing for sure. We are prisoners of war. So if they're on the warden's staff, they can entertain themselves by sitting next to a prisoner, all right? One of the guards come down and sit down and talk to one of the prisoners. Well, that's just, casual entertainment. But you're still a prisoner. And they are still on the warden's staff. So they just go back to doing what they're doing. Because why? It's advantageous in a prison to be on the warden's staff. And you are not a prisoner. You're on the staff of prison masters. You're not a prisoner of war. So, a lot of black people say, well, white people don't like us. It's not a matter of liking. White supremacy is a business. It's a gangster business, like the Corleones. What did Santino in the movie The Godfather kept trying to tell young Michael? Michael, you're getting excited about being hit on the jaw. It wasn't personal. That lick on the jaw, it wasn't personal. It's business. They're just putting you in your place, knowing what your place is in the structure. They don't have anything against you personally, but you're violating the laws of the structure. The laws, and in the broader sense of what we're talking about, white supremacy has laws. And so when that white person says something harsh on the job to a black person, it's not really personal. It's that, wait a minute, you're forgetting your status.
You are in the system of white supremacy, fella. I mean, you're a nice guy, and I like you and all like that personally. If you just want to get personal, I really like you. I like you better, and I've had white people say that. I really like you better than I like a whole lot of white people. But it ain't about liking. You all think it's about who likes who. It ain't about who likes anybody. It's about taking care of business. And I am in the business master category. You happen to have been born in a category that's not a master category. Sorry about that. That's not my fault, buddy. That's not my fault. I can't help it if I was born white and a member of the royal family. You just ain't royal. And it ain't personal. I like you personally better than I like anybody in my family. But I got to do harm to you. Why? Because that's the white code, that's why. And I can't violate the white code, period. Now, they don't tell us that, but that's what that means. And that's what I mean by understanding white supremacy. When you understand that one principle, that's a gold mine of knowledge. And Neely Fuller didn't invent it. He had to have it knocked into his head. I mean, you know, not literally, but figuratively, over a period of years, I finally got it. Well, the white supremacists do all sorts of things, but there's one thing you can count on. If a white person believes in white supremacy, there's one thing you can count on. They do not make any move of any kind, ever, unless it's going to add strength to the system of white supremacy. And they are so deceitful at making these moves. They're the best checker players ever when it comes to racism, okay, and counter-racism. They know what moves black people are going to make before black people even think about making the move, all right, because after all, they raised us, if you can call it raising. I mean, we haven't had no teacher other than them, okay? So they give us all our values. They tell us that a pair of shoes is more important than a black person's existence. All you got to do is put a label on the side of it, and you can get that black person killed this evening. Right by his own schoolmate will kill him. Not for the shoes, because he's already wearing shoes. It's for the label that's on the shoes. You will die. You will die a miserable death by the hand of somebody that lives 3 blocks from you. Where you find black people on the planet, we will slaughter each other because the white supremacists say, kill him for that pair of shoes that I gave you, boy. You know, I knew when you walked out of here that was your death sentence. I sold you those shoes for $700, and I figured by the time you got halfway where you're going to be dead. I already knew that when I sold you the shoes, and I knew who was going to kill you, all right? And I'm going to get a twofer today. And I knew that I was going to get the guy that killed you. So, I mean, I got to get rid of 2 of y'all today, real easy, and make you pay for it. That's what I've been saying all down through the years, and I hope that it catches on. I hope that people understand it, because we are not trained by the white supremacists, and they're not going to. There'll be a universe within ourselves as individuals, because they know that anytime we try to get what we call a group together, oh, that's tailor-made for them. They can bust that up in 5 minutes, all right? All you need is a 2 or 3 black people to get together and call themselves anything. Put a label on it, and so that already you have separated yourself from all the other black people just by doing that. They already know that. So they know the science of how people think, okay? They're good at it, okay? Because they have been through all of this among themselves. They've run tests on these things among themselves. White people kill each other running tests. They know more about murder than anybody. They know about manipulating people than anybody, the white supremacists, that is. So therefore, they will say that, hey, you know, if you're going to get a little group together to fight me, I'll help you build a group. At a certain point, I'll wait until to see if you can halfway got it together. Then I'll examine how your group operates. Then I will compromise your group either by sealing it off from the rest of the people, because you've halfway done the job for me, just by having that label, all right? I mean, you know, the black people will look at look at black people who are in a group, who have formed a group, and the white supremacists already know that we're going to attack that group. Why don't they do something? They ain't solving my problems. I ain't joining them, all right? See, so the white supremacists know they got division right there. And that's solid, too. That group ain't going nowhere. But it's one thing, just like you just said, because that's the theory I have, that has yet to be proven, by the way. That's why I say it's a concept. That if you empower each individual person with a code of behavior, you will solve the problems of each individual person with that code of behavior. And there's absolutely no defense against it. That's not my concept. That's the concept that comes with the universe. If you empower each individual to solve his or her problems according to a code, you have empowered and solved the problems of all individual persons. And the white supremacists, when they come after everybody, they don't know who to pick to start with because they're going to have to get everybody. And that's the position you want to put them in. The position of, we got to either do justice for the non-white people, for really all the people of this entire planet, or we're going to have to kill all of these non-white people. We're going to have to kill them all.
In answer to the question, here again, in order to keep it simple, always think of yourself as a prisoner of war.
Right.
All right? And your prison uniform is your skin color. That's your prison uniform. All right? In the system of white supremacy. You're already captured. They're not trying to capture you. You were captured before you were born. You were born in prison. Think of yourself as being a born prisoner of war. So you act accordingly. That's why I keep using that movie, Shawshank Redemption, as an example. Think of yourself every day as being a prisoner of war. And you act the way that a prisoner of war. See, once you start thinking that you're a free person and all like that, you're already in danger. You're putting yourself in danger. A lot of, particularly younger black people, are not told this. So therefore, they just walk around saying, "Hey, I'm a man. I'm a woman. You know, I'm supposed to be respected and all like that." No, you're not. You're in a system of white supremacy, and I mean, you not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You have to see it that way. Why? Because the people that run this world see you that way, whether you see yourself that way or not.
Or not.
And
yes.
that is your actual status. All right. So if I'm walking through what they call a mostly white neighborhood, which is not supposed to be no such thing.
Exactly.
A white neighborhood, that's not even supposed to exist in a correct society. A white neighborhood? What are you talking about? You know, a white neighborhood? What is a white neighborhood? You know, well, well, if you don't know that, I mean, hey, then you need to get educated.
Yeah.
All right?
Yes.
You don't understand racism. But if I'm walking through what is called that, and what everybody says, I mean, you know, black people say it, white neighborhood, black neighborhood, without even thinking. What are you saying? You know, these things are not even supposed to exist.
Supposed to exist, right.
A neighborhood is like Mr. Rogers. Everybody's a neighbor. The whole world is a neighborhood. What are you talking about? Oh, no, it ain't quite like that. Why? Because it ain't quite like that. So when you're walking through, if I'm walking through the area, what? Don't fuss, don't fight, don't flee.
Yes.
I mean, if a white person comes out of their house and say to me from their doorstep, "Hey, you. Hey, you, I'm talking to you over there. Where are you going?" I'll stop. And I'll say, "I'm taking care of business." I'll answer the question. "What business? You ain't got no business over here." Now, this might actually happen. I expect it to happen at any time, you know. And I'll address. See, I address exactly what the person is saying. That's the code way. Pay attention to exactly what the person is saying. The person is making a statement. "I don't have any business over here." Okay? Now I have a question.
Yeah.
Sir, where am I supposed to be going? Where am I supposed to conduct business? And wait for his answer. See, I'm not going to raise my voice or nothing. I'm going to answer. I'm going to address what he's talking about. And since I don't know what he's talking about, I have to ask. Because I'm going to get this straight from him. See, it ain't going to be no argument. This is going to be a conversation. Because that's what the code teaches me.
Okay.
Hey, don't argue with anybody.
Right.
Have a conversation, but don't argue. And if he comes down off the porch and want to follow it up, I'm not going to start calling them names or something like that. You ain't got no business telling me nothing, blah, blah. I don't go, I'm going to address what he's saying.
Okay.
And let him tell me, all right, everything that I'm supposed to be doing and why.
Okay.
Okay? And then in the meantime, if he's acting belligerent, I'll say, well, sir, maybe this thing is going to the extent, well, we need a third party or two. So then I will get on my cell phone, if I got one, and call the law enforcement officers and see what they have to say about this whole scenario, since we are having a civil conversation here, and let them determine where it goes from there,
Alrighty.
whomever they may be. Take it step by step. The white supremacist said, I can't maintain a system with black people being serious, so I'm going to redirect their seriousness, and I'm going to do it through something that they relate to best. I'm going to do it through a medium that they can relate to, and that is entertainment. So I'm going to twist and turn their entertainment in such a way that where it was anti-non-justice before, where they were trying to talk about justice and head in that direction, I'm going to redirect that whole machine right before their eyes, and since they are a primitive people, they won't even realize what I'm doing, because it will all be fun, because I know how to package stuff that doesn't make sense so that it is fun. And I'll have them directing their entire existence to getting up in the morning and looking for something stupid to do. And they won't even know that they're looking for something stupid to do, because they're just that stupid, because I will have programmed them to be stupid. And from the late 1960s, after the death of Martin Luther King and the riots and the upheavals and all like this, and black people with their fists in the air and all like that, and trying to stumble and fumble and find their way and get focus, the white supremacists made a blueprint and put it into action. And that is, I'm going to have these people so confused, they don't even know what they started out to do. And by the late 1970s, they had just about completed it. And we've been on that ever since. And you mentioned something very important. They are more comfortable than ever. But see, it's like making gorillas comfortable in a cage, or monkeys, or pandas. You still got them in a cage, but they're comfortable. See, so give him some bling bling. It's like giving an animal a brand new car and training the animal to ride up and down the street in it. And then you stand back and point at the animal. Like one white man said in the late 1950s. He said he doesn't care what kind of car a Negro has. He said he's still a nigger. And when he rides by in a shiny car, to him, it's just a monkey in a car. White people built a car, put a monkey in it, trained the monkey to drive the car, so now you're looking at a monkey in a car. See, but black people don't see themselves that way. But this is how the white supremacists see us, and they are the ones who run our business. And we have to know that when they look at us, that's what they see. That's what they see. That's what they see. And at a subliminal level, what they see begins to spill over into our brains, so that we at a subliminal level see each other that way. And indirectly see ourselves that way. And that's why here it is in the year 2008, we have no problem
slaughtering each other and think it's fun. You can hear the 9mm popping in the night even as we speak. That's black people out there having fun, because that's what we're doing. F-U-N, that's what that comes under. That's entertainment. Killing each other. That's fun. That's almost the definition of black fun. If we're not doing that, we're not really having fun. If we're not doing harm to each other, saying something derogatory, and really, the crown and jewel, killing another black person, we're not really living. And we don't even know that that's our culture. And the white supremacists have very carefully engineered it. Now, this is very important to know in order to solve our problems. Because you say, well, now, knowing that, Fuller, what's the solution? One is very simple. Black people shouldn't even be in contact with each other unless they're talking about something constructive. That means the cell phone should be dead silent most of the time. Because you listen to the average black conversation in this area of the world on a cell phone, and what do you hear? You don't hear anything that's necessary to be said.
See, the white supremacists, they confuse the minds of people all over the world so that everybody's trying to figure out, well, if I'm a light-skinned black person, what color am I? But I am still black. If who says that I'm black? If the white supremacists say that you're black, that's who. Nobody else. Nobody else can make that determination. They decide. They say that these are the brown people. You have an expression now that's been going on for some time. Black people and brown people. Most black people are brown. See how they do the confusion? But it's one thing that's not confused. And you can look at any chart of the races, any census of the so-called races and whatnot. White is the only one that's not confused. Stop and think about it. White is the only one that's not confused. When you say that, one size fits all. That's all you have to be. Not white semi-Mexican, white Indian, white, Calcuttian or whatnot. No, just white. Everybody understands what that means. Everybody understands what white means. But when you start talking about part Japanese, part Jewish, or something like that, nobody knows what that means. On every job situation for a non-white person in the system of white supremacy, when you speak sparingly. You don't say any more than is absolutely necessary to be said in order to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish in the best manner. And the best way to always speak, if you can frame whatever you say, because it comes down to how you're speaking most of the time. Whatever you say, try to put it in the form of a question rather than statements. Statements sometimes are resisted, particularly coming from a black person among white people. You start making statements immediately. Many white people, not all, but many, will look at you to say, wait a minute, are you fixing to tell me something? What do you know to tell me? What do you know to tell me? I'm a white person, and you're black. Do you know anything to tell me that's worth listening to? Now, many white people have been taught to think that way. So you have to recognize that as a fact. That goes with the system of white supremacy. You are a black person in a system of white supremacy trying to tell a white person about what the real deal is about anything, when everything that you have ever learned, Negro, that's worth knowing came from somebody white. That's the way many white people look at a black person. In other words, they're saying in so many words when they look at you. what are you talking to me for? Trying to teach me anything. You don't know enough to teach me anything. Because I get to the people who taught you. The people who taught you taught me before they taught you, boy, girl. See, that is in the mind of many a white person throughout this planet. You have to know that, not guess about it. You have to know that and believe it, because it's true. It's true. That's what white supremacy does. They get constructive information before you even hear about it. But anything that's a bunch of nonsense, you'll get a ton of that, because they want black people's heads to be full of nothing but foolishness. So they'll help you with anything that's absolutely stupid. But they will hold in reserve anything that's absolutely precious, anything that's really going to take you somewhere, that's going to empower you. They'll steer you away from it.